everyone. It's Brittany Harlow with Verified News Network, also known as VNN, here for another episode of The Business Scene on the Tulsa Scene podcast. Joining me today is J.Miller. She owns a boutique law firm in Bixby. Is that correct?
South Tulsa, yeah.
South Tulsa. Perfect. Awesome. So why don't you go, when I first heard the boutique law firm, I was like, wow, that sounds glamorous and I want to know all about that. So what exactly is that for other people who may not know?
Sure. Well, it's probably not quite that glamorous, actually. But what I mean by that is I focus my practice on just a few areas of law. So I focus on business, employment, estate planning, and probate. So I do occasionally take other cases around that, but I do like to keep my practice focused on those areas. And it also has to be a good fit with the client. So if I'm not the attorney for them for whatever reason, I'm happy to refer them out. So especially with my business clients, it's typically an ongoing working relationship. So it has to be a good fit in order for that to work.
Cool. And so as far as business clients, is that something that like you are not necessarily just kind of helping businesses, in the initial stages, but kind of like you're their lawyer for everything business throughout the scope of their enterprise or however you want to say?
Sure. So I do have some clients who just need startup help to form their business, and then I might not hear from them again, or it might be several months or years. I guess my favorite way to work with business clients is in that ongoing way. So for a long time I've offered different pricing models and flat fees and half day and day. For the last little over a year, I've offered an ongoing plan model for business owners that allows me to work with them in an ongoing way. It eliminates the hourly pricing concerns that they have. Is this a $40 question before it turns into a $4,000 problem, things like that. So it does allow me to kind of be there for them throughout their cycle of their business.
And so for me, obviously, I working in news, I have a lot of kind of experience, working with crime lawyers and prosecutors and really, being a lawyer and working in the legal field, I'm guessing that there is just like an ocean of things that you could focus on and a lot of different things. So kind of working in that specialty, how do you kind of maintain and find exactly who you're looking for to help with everything?
Sure. So I don't do a lot of traditional marketing or advertising. I've always done a lot of networking and connecting with people. So, and that's typically business owners. So I've been involved with the Bixby Chamber for a number of years. I'm on their board. I'm their vice chair this year. I'm also a mentor and subject matter expert for SCORE, which I don't know if you've heard of SCORE, but it helps business owners with their startup and their questions.
Wow, that is incredible. And so I was kind of going into this. I like to go into talking with people a little bit of blind, just because I feel like it really just lets those questions evolve naturally. But obviously being here on the business scene, which is focusing on business, I had no idea that business is literally your niche.
It is. It is. I love what I do, and I started my business on my own from scratch, and I love helping others do the same. And it really thrills me when they are successful, and if I can be a part of that in any way.
Cool. And so how long have you been doing this? And when you first started, did you know that this was going to be your focus?
Yeah, I did. So I came to the law a little later in life. I spent 10 years with the State Department of Education in Indiana, doing federal grants for high poverty, low performing schools. That was not my dream. It was very rewarding, but I always wanted to be a lawyer. So after my 10-year stint there, I moved back here and went to TU. So I've been a lawyer for 7 years.
Wow, that is a great story.
Thanks.
That is
a little bit risky,
inspiring.
but
Well, what is reward without risk, huh? That's pretty.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
And so another question for me, kind of looking back to like the evolution of business and I for me, why we like to prop up local business, especially, is because obviously with like globalization and the internet connecting everything, that like kind of small community connection and reaching out to like your local leadership and everything has always been something that I want to stress is, very important, kind of
Sure.
connecting on that local level and helping your local businesses out. And in my mind, being a lawyer and that legal aid has traditionally been one of those people that you will always turn to in your community. Like if you need advice,
Mhm.
everyone's like, talk to a lawyer or find a lawyer. So obviously, through the
Sure.
chamber, you have a lot of involvement in your community. But would you say that that's still accurate? That you are still pretty much like a foundational area of help, just in kind of expertise and advice in the communities that you're in?
I would say so. I get a lot of questions also from people that are not law related, but it's, do you know someone who could help with, this or that? And because of my work in the community, I do know a fair amount of people in different industries. So I'm usually able to refer them to, two or three people that could help them with whatever their issue is.
Now, a lot of my kind of questions um, from like last year, especially having this podcast and talking to people about like obviously the pandemic and
Mhm.
everything is crazy. And now we're in the middle of this snowmageddon that it's just
Right.
kind of like one thing after another. And you can tackle this question however you want, like on a
Yep.
professional level or of a personal level. But
Mhm.
obviously, if anything, the last year and a half or a year has demonstrated is that, life throws a lot of curveballs and there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Obviously, things that a lot of people haven't dealt with. Do you have any advice that you can kind of give to people to stay afloat as they've been kind of given one curveball after the next?
Yeah, no, I think obviously technology has its good and bad sides. I'm able to still work with clients, remotely, virtually, 90% of the time. I think we are seeing a lot of people having that kind of fatigue doing that, connecting. We're missing that in-person connections. So just whatever you can do that to kind of unplug a little bit, take care of yourself, I think is helpful. So I don't know that I'm always the best at that. I don't know that I have the best advice on that, but
Taking your own
there's
advice.
also right, right. Especially early on, there was a lot of information out there that was constantly changing, especially about PPP loans and that. And so I've always tried to kind of be a source of information and get correct info out there. So I still strive to do that to help people kind of work through the process, whatever that is. I don't know if that's helpful.
Yes, very much so. I'm always kind of interested in people's, takes and how obviously a lot of advice that is given is things that are have learned along the way, and
Mhm.
even like practices that are like goals that maybe you have not, enacted yourself, and it's kind of
Right.
something that you will take like little steps forward. That is,
Uh,
certainly over here thinking like, wow, getting burnt out, working a lot. I'm gonna, take some time and I'm gonna not work as much. And maybe
mhm.
I haven't necessarily done that yet, but I have identified that that's a problem. And so I'm
Yes.
somehow maybe moving in that direction, even if it's just my thought process.
Right. Exactly.
So, you obviously heavy in the Bixby Chamber. You're
Mhm.
in Southeast Tulsa. Are
Mhm.
you just for this general area as far as help, or do you help people all over Oklahoma, or is this, obviously virtual? Are you sending yourself out all over the country? Like, how does that look for you?
So I'm licensed in Oklahoma, so I can help people throughout Oklahoma. I have clients in Oklahoma City and various parts of the state, especially now virtually. I'm very very picky on my litigation. I don't take a lot of it, so I'm not even before COVID. I typically am not driving all over the state now.
Now, you had mentioned that a couple times as far as like being very selective. Is that like a workload thing? Is that kind of like you really are heavy in your niche of like who you're helping? Like, can you walk how you've kind of fine tuned how and why you are selective that way?
Sure. It's partly a workload thing, and it's partly just I want. You hear a lot of lawyers who hate their jobs, and I waited so long to do this, and I love what I do, and I want to continue to love it. So I want to practice a certain way, and I want happy clients that I continue to work with. So yeah, it's being selective really for multiple reasons, but quality of life, I guess.
I love that. I love that work-life balance because that's something that takes people a lot of time to really get or even acknowledge that is important. And sometimes people never get it.
No, no, it's almost like we're encouraged not to. It's this, we have to be overworked and pressure. And I work very hard. I work a lot, so it's not like I'm trying to work less, but I want to work a certain way, I guess.
I so appreciate that. And there's so much parallels in news because, it's almost like it's praised to be a martyr, but it's
Right.
really not because at the end of the day, you're just hurting yourself and a lot of people really don't, they may notice for a second, but then it's like that's your life, but maybe you'll get like a passing glance from someone else. It's like, wow, they're killing themselves for their work. Like that's so
Right.
admirable. But then, they're back to doing whatever they are. And that's really
Right.
just a great attitude. Um, so basically, this is kind of where I open it up. I know that obviously um, you are doing that work life balance and being kind of selective. And so I wanted to kind of open the floor to if you are potentially looking for more clients or anyone to work with, how they can get a hold of you. But also, if you wanted to kind of work in your work with the chamber
Sure.
and kind of if you wanted to do both or one or the other, just like the floor is open to how people
Okay.
can get a hold of you and connect with you.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So my office is at 71st and Yale. I'm in the Regent Bank building. My office phone number is 918-938-1322. If you go to my website, J.Miller Law Firm, PLLC.com, there's a variety of ways to get in touch with me. As also through social media channels. I do tend to post a lot on LinkedIn and Facebook primarily. And you also can schedule online with me through my website as well. I work with the chamber. I've been very, very proud of the Bixby Chamber, especially over the last year, how they have handled and worked with our business owners and partners to get them information and resources and to try and kind of pivot from a lot of in-person events to how can we still connect and reach our partners in different ways.
Right.
So it's a great resource for a business. You don't have to be in Bixby, obviously, so you can really be anywhere. You just have to want to connect with other businesses, really.
Wonderful. Well, I'm looking forward to I'm going to look into that myself because
All
that is
right.
something that is so important. Obviously, going virtual, but I see a lot of people that are still having those like in-person events and those
Mhm.
networking events, and I love networking.
Yeah.
But obviously, I'm not out there as much, and so I love seeing those innovative ways to still
Right.
be connecting during everything that's going on until we hopefully get over this hump. So thank
Absolutely.
you so much, Jamie. For anyone out there watching that would like some more information about VNN, our independent news network, you can visit us online at verifiednews.network. And if you would like to contact me about something that we've talked about on one of our shows, or if you yourself would like to be a guest, my email is bharlow@verifiednews.network. So again, thank you so much for I'm glad that you didn't have to venture out anywhere, hopefully, to
Yes. No, I'm good.
so maybe we'll thaw out in the next 2 weeks. But I appreciate all of your input. And this has just been a great talk that I feel like will not only give some information to our listeners, but also maybe be a little inspiring and encouraging because I loved everything that you had to say.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
All right. We'll see you guys next time here on the business scene, your source for all things connected to the Tulsa business scene.